friends, this video on soil part 14 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So with this we have reached towards the end of this lesson. So let us quickly look at some of the questions. Question number 1. In addition to the rock particles, soil also contains air and water, water and plants, minerals, organic matter, air and water, water, air and plants. Now obviously soil doesn't contain plants. Plants basically grow on soil. So option number 2 and 4 are not correct. Soil definitely contains water and air, but it also contains mineral and organic matter. So the correct option would be 3. Question number 2. The water holding capacity is the highest in sandy, clayey, loamy, mixture of sand and loam. So where is the water holding capacity maximum? So water holding capacity is maximum where the size of the particles are very small. So when the size of the particles are small, the spaces between them is also small, and then water gets retained in those tiny spaces. So in which type of soil the size of the particles are minimum? Clayey soil, exactly. So the water holding capacity is maximum in clayey soil. Question number 3. Match items in column 1 with those in column 2. So here we have a couple of stuffs in 1 as well as 2. So a home for living organisms. Living organisms, where do they live? They can live in all types of soil. So all kinds of soil are home for specific organisms. Upper layer of soil is dark in color. Why is it dark in color? Due to the presence of organic matter. Sandy soil. Sandy soil is made up of large particles with large spaces between them. So they are not tightly packed. Middle layer of the soil. So middle layer of the soil has less humus. Maximum amount of humus is present in the top soil. Clayey soil. Small particles and packed tight. So clayey soil has small particles packed tight, whereas sandy soil has large particles packed loose. Question number 4. Explain how soil is formed. Now as we have discussed before, that soil is formed from rocks by a process called weathering of rocks. And what is weathering? It is breakdown of rocks by wind, water or climate. So because of any of these factors, the rocks break down into smaller pieces. And what is soil? Soil is basically composed of the rock particles, the small particles which are formed by breakdown of rocks, plus humus. Humus is the remains of dead plants or animals. So that is very much rich in organic content. So these organic content provides fertility to the soil, and the rock particles provide the texture of the soil, which allows water retention, water absorption, etc. So this is how soil is formed. So it is perfectly a natural process. Question number 5. How is clayey soil useful for crops? Now what are the properties of clayey soil? So clayey soil has particles which are very small in size and they are very closely and tightly packed. So in this type of soil, water retention capacity is very good because the particles are very small and they are very tightly packed to each other. So there are very tiny spaces in between. So water gets locked in these tiny spaces, and that is why we say that water holding capacity or water retaining capacity is very good. So good water retention capacity, that is something which is desired by many crops. For example, rice. It is also rich in organic matter. So because of these two things, it is desirable by many crops. One such example is the paddy field. So the paddy field is generally on clayey soil. Question number 6. List the differences between clayey soil and sandy soil. So let us quickly look at the difference. Clayey soil, small particles, more small particles. Sandy soil, more big particles. Clayey soil, now small particles, but they are all very closely packed, so very tiny spaces in between. But in sandy soil, big particles, big spaces in between, so loosely packed. Clayey soil, good water retention because they are tightly packed, so tiny spaces, whatever water reaches there, that gets locked. So a lot of water is held by this soil. Sandy soil, poor water retention because water just percolates through the big spaces in between. So high percolation rate, low percolation rate for clayey soil and high percolation rate for sandy soil. So I think we have already discussed about the reasons behind all this. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again.